Welcome back to another video of pulsating biology for the Olevels topic biological molecule. We have gone through the syllabus and now we are going to cover the topics that are included in your syllabus for the biological molecule. Let's begin the chapter by understanding the name of the chapter, that is, what is meant by the term biological molecule. So, biological molecule is any chemical compound that is found in a living organism. Any chemical compound that is found in living organisms such as carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. You all must be well aware of the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These are very common elements that we are very known with. The carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. In the further subgroups of the biological molecule, we have the four terminologies to learn. Number one is the carbohydrate. Then we have lipid. Then we have protein, and the last one we have is the nucleic acid. We need to learn each of them in detail, but before we get into let's learn about their composition first. So, carbohydrate is mainly composed with the carbon, hydrogen, and the oxygen. Similar goes to the lipid. Lipid is also composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Except for the carbohydrate and lipid, the composition of protein do vary. How? It consists of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These two elements vary in the composition with the carbohydrate and the lipids. The nitrogen is basically more in quantity in the protein than the sulfur. What about the nucleic acid? The nucleic acid has carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, but instead of sulfur, it has phosphorus. You can learn this with a synonym or with the abbreviation that says, let's say, FONS, and you can learn this one with a font. It's a very easy trick from which you can learn the constituent of the subgroups. That is, a protein have a sulfur as an extra element and nucleic acid as a phosphorus, whereas carbohydrate and lipid have a main composition of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These are the constituent. These are the composition of the single constituent of carbohydrate, lipid, protein, and nucleic acid. Let's first discuss about the carbohydrate. Alright, let's discuss about the carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are large molecules made up of simple sugar molecules. Number one point that you can learn about the carbohydrate is that they are made up of sugar molecules. These are simple sugar molecule. The simplest form of a sugar molecule are known as the monosaccharide in carbohydrate. They are known as the monosaccharide. The monosaccharide, it stands for monos means one and saccharide means the sugar molecule. So one sugar molecule of carbohydrate stands to be the monosaccharide. We're going to learn about the examples of monosaccharide. There are three main examples of the monosaccharide that we have, but the very common one that we will going to learn is the glucose. Glucose is a very common example of the monosaccharide. The carbohydrate consists not only of the monosaccharide, it has disaccharide also, and it has polysaccharide also. We're going to learn about the examples of each of them. The examples of disaccharide include sucrose. It also includes lactose, and it also includes maltose. The sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose. When glucose and fructose joins together, it forms sucrose. The lactose is formed when galactose and glucose combines together, it forms lactose. However, maltose is formed when the two molecules of glucose joins together, and when they due to their combination, the maltose is formed. These are the examples of disaccharide. We have sucrose, we have lactose, and we have maltose. What about the polysaccharide? The polysaccharide and the examples of a polysaccharide, we have three main examples. That says, number one example is of starch. Then we have glycogen, and on number three example, we have cellulose. You have heard about the starch. Starch is basically a storage molecule in the plant. These are the storage molecules in the plant, whereas glycogen is found in the liver and the mammal cells, or you can say also found in the muscle cells. of the organisms. These are the both of them are the storage molecule. But what about the cellulose? Cellulose is not a storage molecule. Instead, it is a structural molecule, which is found in the composition of a cell wall. It is a structural molecule, whereas starch and the glycogen, both of them are a storage molecules. This is what you need to know about the carbohydrate, that they are made up of the sugar molecules. This is what this stands for. There are three kinds of the saccharides. You have the monosaccharide, the disaccharide, and the polysaccharide. Mono means one, di means two, and the poly means many. When there are more than one or two glucose molecules, they tend to be said as many. So there are many molecules of the carbohydrate. So, carbohydrate are the hydrated carbon that consist of a mono, poly, and the disaccharide hydrated carbon. This is all we need to learn about the carbohydrate. The next group to be talked about is the protein. Protein is basically a long chain of the small molecules that are joined together. What are those small molecules? They are the subunits that are known as they are the subunits that are said to be amino acids. Amino acids are the smaller molecules that joins together to form a larger molecule of the protein. There are about 20 different amino acids. There are about 20 different amino acids, and the amino acid can be arranged in any order, resulting in hundreds of or thousands of different proteins, depending upon the type of the protein structure that amino acid have. Well, we have learned about the amino acid. Let's talk about the amino acid structure. Let's talk about the amino acid structure. The amino acid structure consists of the three groups. It basically have the amino group. Then it have the R group that we can say, and the third thing that it consists of is the carboxyl group. Let's make it to understand it in a better way. This is what we have is the amino group. Then we have the carboxyl. Then we have actually the R group before we add the carboxyl group, and then we have the carboxyl group. All right. So this is the entire structure of the amino acid. You can divide the structure into the three categories. This is the amino group. Then we have is the R group, and then we have is the carboxyl group. This is what? This is the amino group. This is the R group, and this is the carboxyl group. We have five basic parts of the amino acid structure, which is the central C atom. The carbon atom that is at the center of the structure is known as the central C atom. Then we have the amino group, which is the NH2 group. We have two hydrogen atoms like this, and we have one nitrogen atom as the center. So along with the carbon being a central atom, we have the amino group. Then we have the H group, that is the R group, and then we have the carboxyl group. This is the carboxyl group, and by the carboxyl group we mean COOH. This is the carboxyl group, and we have the hydrogen itself. So this is what the five things that constitute to make up our amino acidic structure. Let's recall it. We have the R group, we have the hydrogen group, we have the amino group, we have the carboxyl group. All of them make up the amino acid structure. The five basic parts make up of the amino acid structure. How these amino acid structures are binded together? They are binded by some kind of a bond which is known as the peptide bond. The peptide bond is a kind of a bond that binds the amino acids together as a chain in order to form a long chain of a protein. This is what we need to know about the peptide bond.